It's been a busy morning for Donald Trump and his ongoing battle with the rule of law. Let's take a look at this clip.
Breaking news. President-elect Trump is trying to block the release of a report from Special Counsel Jack Smith. Lawyers for Mr. Trump say they received a draft copy of the Special Counsel's final report. It addresses the investigations into election interference and the classified documents found at Mar-a-Lago. Both cases were dismissed.
Okay, there's a lot to go through there. But first of all, not surprisingly, Donald's lawyers are hard at work trying to prevent the American people from finding out the truth about what was in the reports relating to the stolen documents case and the January 6th case. Hate to break it to you, Merrick Garland. For those of you who may have forgotten, Merrick Garland is supposed to be the Attorney General of the United States. You might have to wake up and deal with this. The lawyers have been urging Garland to end the, quote, weaponization of the justice system. They don't only want to end the release of the report publicly, they want Jack Smith and his team to hand the report over to Donald. Well, luckily for Donald, his personal pocket judge, Aileen Cannon, decided to do him one last favor. No, it was not enough to dismiss the case in the first place. She actually has temporarily blocked the Justice Department from releasing the report prepared by Special Counsel Jack Smith. Canon issued this order on Tuesday, which prevents the Justice Department from releasing the report while the legal battles play out. Prosecutors had said in an earlier filing that the 2-volume document could be released as early as Friday, pending a decision by alleged Attorney General Garland. However, Canon's injunction against the release of the report is set to last until 3 days after the 11th Circuit rules on a pending request to block the release of the report over a completely separate matter, which involves Donald's former co-defendants, Walt Nauta and Carlos de Oliveira. Lawyers for both of those defendants filed a motion on Monday night asking Judge Cannon to block the report, citing the judge's previous ruling that Smith's appointment was unconstitutional. Cannon said she was acting, quote, to preserve the status quo, unquote, until the higher court rules. Status quo in this instance means protecting Donald Trump at all costs so she can get nominated to the Supreme Court someday. Okay, so what is going on here? Because Cannon's ruling holds that Attorney General Merrick Garland, the Department of Justice, Special Counsel Smith, all of their officers, agents, and employees, et cetera, are temporarily enjoined from releasing, sharing, or transmitting the final report or any drafts of it, otherwise releasing, distributing, conveying, or sharing with anyone outside the Department of Justice any information and conclusions in the final report or drafts thereof, et cetera, et cetera. She said the order will remain in effect, again, pending the decision by the 11th Circuit. But first of all, it's not even clear that Cannon has the authority to block the release of Smith's report. And Smith has said that he will make sure the report is redacted so that it does not reflect at all upon the other defendants in the case. And obviously, that will take time. So the goal, as is the case when Donald is trying to get away with any one of his crimes, is delay. They only have to run out the clock for another couple of weeks. But what's particularly mystifying to me is why personal pocket judge Aileen Cannon has any say over whether or not information relating to the January 6th case can be blocked. I mean, if it's literally because both cases are addressed in the same report, Jack Smith, I beg of you, write 2 separate reports. I mean, how friggin' hard could it be? Okay, before my head explodes and before we move on to the next instance of, I don't know, rule of law, end of days, please take a second to like and share this video, and don't forget, subscribe and then click on that bell so you'll be alerted anytime a new video drops. If you haven't already, please check out our podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and give us a 5-star review because it really helps other people find our content. All right. So yesterday, while Donald's election was being officially certified in Congress, he once again attempted to block Justice Juan Merchan from holding the sentencing on Friday, January 10th. That would be for the 34 felony counts for which Donald was found guilty by a jury of his peers way, way back in May of 2024. That was the election interference case. Merchan wrote that he will, quote, I hope you guys are sitting down, not impose any sentence of incarceration, a sentence authorized by the conviction, but one the people concede they no longer view as a practicable recommendation. Merchan then added, quote, a sentence of an unconditional discharge appears to be the most viable solution to ensure finality and allow defendant to pursue his appellate options, unquote. In other words, we're holding a sentencing so that Donald can be told there will be no jail time, there will be no probation, and very possibly no fine or any kind of punishment whatsoever. So the question is, why is Donald so desperate to block the sentencing? I mean, one potential answer is that he has way too much time on his hands and just likes messing around with judges and the justice system. Another, perhaps more, I don't know, sensible, if you will, possibility is that he wants to put everything on hold because, again, there's no danger of being sent to prison, because if it's put on hold, then he can get away with saying he's not a convicted felon. So let's hope Friday happens, because that literally is the only silver lining here. Of course, later yesterday, Donald's attorney filed an appeal with the New York Appellate Court in the hopes of overturning Merchan's ruling that he was indeed going to go ahead with the sentencing. At an emergency hearing today, Donald's lawyer, Todd Blanche, urged the judge to hastily issue an order sparing Donald from being sentenced while Merchan's decision is appealed. Well, finally, some sort of good news. Check out this clip.
President-elect Donald Trump seeking to delay sentencing for his conviction in the New York hush money case. Judge Juan Merchan has ordered the president-elect to appear in person or virtually to be sentenced this Friday. Lawyers for Trump in a court filing today argue that all deadlines should be suspended as his appeals move forward. But the judge seems, just in the final few minutes of this afternoon, to have said to Trump's lawyers, we're still moving forward. As you might recall, Trump was convicted of a criminal conviction of those hush money payments related to them back in May of 2004.
So thanks to this ruling by the appeals court judge, Donald will indeed be sentenced on Friday in a New York City courtroom. Again, though, we kind of know that he's not going to be sentenced to anything. So he essentially has gotten away with it with a slap on the wrist. However, for now and forevermore, he will be a convicted felon. And in fact, he will be the first president of the United States to be elected as a convicted felon. Awesome. All right. So down in Mar-a-Lago, not content to let President Jimmy Carter's funeral upstage him, Donald held a news conference in wake of the news that his personal pocket judge, Aileen Cannon, is attempting to block the release of Jack Smith's report on the stolen documents case. Here's a clip of Donald lying a lot.
So he wanted to do a report just before I take office, probably. So he'll do like a 500-page report, and it'll be a fake report, just like the investigation was a fake investigation. And I said, well, wait a minute. This guy was thrown off in disgrace. In disgrace. He's going back to The Hague or wherever they're going to send him. In disgrace. Because he failed so badly. Because it was a fake case against a political opponent. They thought they were going to use this to beat me. So what you're saying is, I'm just hearing that they're not allowed to issue the report. So if they're not allowed to issue the report, that's the way it should be. Because he was thrown off the case in disgrace.
Okay, listen. So many lies, so little time. He wasn't thrown off the case. Jack Smith resigned because as soon as Donald Trump's DOJ takes over, these cases will disappear. So Smith wanted to make sure these reports were available so that alleged Attorney General Merrick Garland could release them. By the way, that is standard operating procedure. This is the course Merrick Garland has taken in the past. When a report is finished, he releases it to the American people because we paid for it. We paid for the investigations. We paid for this report to be written, and it has not been blocked. That is still an open question. We do not know whether or not this report will be released, but whoever is out there listening who has a copy of it, just release it anyway, please. We deserve to know the truth, especially about the stolen documents case that has been so abysmally mishandled by aforementioned Aileen Cannon, who clearly is just gunning for a spot on the Supreme Court despite her massive lack of qualifications. All right. So after that, again, not content to have gotten away with everything, Donald decided to talk more about the gag order, partial gag order, I should say, placed on him by New York Justice Juan Merchan. Look at this clip.
I mean, we have a judge in New York who's a very crooked judge. I'm under a gag order. I can't even talk about aspects of the case that are the most vital aspects. I'm under a gag. Do you know that I'm the president-elect of the United States of America? I'm a former very successful president. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We had borders that were sealed and beautiful. Everything was good. We had no wars. We defeated ISIS. We had no wars. Now I'm going into a world that's burning with Russia and Ukraine.
Oh, God. All right. Sorry. I almost lapsed into a coma. Thank you, American voters who thought that we needed 4 more years of that tedium. Okay, listen. The justice put a partial gag order on Donald Trump because he was threatening Merchan's court staff. He was threatening jurors. He was threatening the families of prosecutors. That's why none of that is vital to the case, which, Donald, you lost. You were found guilty by a jury of your peers. Sorry, jurors, I don't mean to insult you by calling you a peer of Donald Trump. You are a convicted felon. And listen, don't worry. In 2 weeks at 12:01 p.m. on January 20th, 2025, you can start threatening the lives of whomever you want, thanks to the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the so-called Supreme Court. Have at it.